Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Last week we hit big with the teasers. I didn't even really need to sweat. We swept through that. We got our money. Now we're back again. This week is quite complicated. And make sure you watch the injuries and COVID situations. Just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. The first game I have on my teaser is I'm going to make that Washington +7, and I'm going to make that a +14. And Kyle Allen, he's not the greatest quarterback in the world, and I'm not going to sell you on that. But Kyle Allen can play. And the thing about Kyle Allen is he has a little bit of mobility. I think he actually probably has better mobility than Dwayne Haskins. And I think Kyle Allen is more accurate. And we have to be honest about this Washington situation. Football's a complicated game. There's lots of moving pieces. There's 22 starters who have to do their part with a bunch of role players off the bench. But Dwayne Haskins has been single-handedly costing the Washington football team. There's no other way to say it. Anyone who's been watching the film and digesting the film knows that Dwayne Haskins is absolutely pathetic and hapless. And people are saying, don't label him a bust, Lawson. No, he is a bust. You're going to see a big boost with Kyle Allen. And Riverboat Ron has even said it because Dwayne Haskins doesn't understand the system, or he's just very, very inaccurate. Then we got a Rams team. The Rams are best when they're running the ball, when they can do play action. I don't think the Rams can run the ball against this Washington front seven. I'm going to be quite honest about it. Then if it's Goff dropping back 3, 5, 7-step drops, he doesn't get into a rhythm. He doesn't get into symbiosis. You're not going to see Goff's best work without the play action game. So I feel like that's one we definitely have to add. Next game. And I know you guys are getting sick of it, but I hit with them last week, and I'm going to hit with them again. Let's make that Miami +9, and let's turn that into a +16. I don't care if Jimmy G plays. I don't care if the 49ers are getting healthy. I think this Miami Dolphins team, they're hard to blow out. And Fitzpatrick moves the chains, and him and Devontae Parker will make plays, and sometimes they'll make tremendously huge plays that can tilt the game on the spiral. The only thing that worries me about this game is the San Francisco running game getting going against a weak Miami front seven. But then we have to look at the minds. We got Shanahan versus Flores. Normally, Shanahan can destroy opposing defensive play callers, but I think Brian Flores has a good game plan here. Miami keeps it close. And +16, I don't think the 49ers are going to blow them out. The 49ers can lay the wood on people. We've seen them absolutely demolish teams these past 2 years. But I like Miami to stay competitive and stay firm. Next game. Here's why I made a proclaimer, why it's a little bit risky. Because the NFL hasn't released the COVID players who tested positive on Tennessee. I'm going to make that Tennessee +1. I'm going to turn it into a +8 against the Buffalo Bills. And I respect the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are playing great. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are playing absolutely great. And we know the Bills have a good defense. But at the end of the day, if Derrick Henry's suiting up, if Tannehill's suiting up, and A.J. Brown is able to come back and be healthy, I think this Tennessee Titans team will keep it close, and this is a one-score game to me. I feel like +8 is too much, especially at home. And we have to ask ourselves some questions about the Bills. I've been saying it all year. I think the way to attack the Bills is to run the ball. One thing that's been a little bit disappointing with Tennessee this year is they get away from that run game. And I can't really understand why, but I think they get back to basics. They get back to old school 80s football, and they're going to pound the Bills. They're going to keep Josh Allen on the sideline, and I think this Tennessee defense will improve. Really, the problem with Tennessee this year has been the defense, especially the deep pass, but they were like that last year. I think they'll fix some problems, and that's why I'm marking down Tennessee. The next game, and the last one, because a lot of games got shaved off due to COVID, and you guys know that situation. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to make that Philadelphia +7. I'm going to make that a +14. And I don't think Philadelphia gets blown out in this game. I think it's competitive. I think it's going to come down to the last drive. And we have to give Philadelphia some credit for that performance last week. People are trying to straw man me and say I think Philadelphia is going to go in and win at Pittsburgh. No, I don't, but I think it's going to be an extremely close game, and I think Pittsburgh's going to have to work for it. Pittsburgh, with the extra week of rest, will help them, and we have to mention Big Ben Roethlisberger and how good he's been. It's been a renaissance-type year for him. But this Eagles front seven, especially this front four, I think they'll create some problems for Big Ben. And I'm not too high on the Pittsburgh Steelers running game. I'm sure you can give me some pushback on that. I'm sure you can give me some debate. But I think Philadelphia will be able to hold somewhat firm against this run, and then I think they'll be able to get to Big Ben. I'm not saying Big Ben's not going to be able to make plays against the secondary, but this game more or less comes down to this Philadelphia offense staying in rhythm, staying on plan. I want to see Carson Wentz use his feet. We know Tomlin's scheme's confusing. We know Wentz is going to see a lot of different looks, a lot of different zones. I think Wentz turns it over only once, and that's why I think this is going to be a close game. I'm not counting on Philadelphia getting the run game going. I'm putting that into this pick, but I still think Philadelphia covers the +14. Those are my teasers. Those are the ones I'm going with. We hit last week. Let's hit again. I'll talk about some other games. Arizona and the Jets. If I had to do this, I'd probably make it Arizona at Pick'em, but I just want to stay away from the Jets right now, and I also want to stay away from the Arizona Cardinals right now, because the problem with the Arizona Cardinals is they don't want to run the ball, and I actually see their offensive line, when they do run the ball, their offensive line's getting some movement up there. I'm not saying it's like the Dallas Wall of like 5 years ago where it's a top 5 offensive line, but they are getting some movement, and I think Arizona needs to get back to basics. And remember, yes, Kyler Murray is dynamic. Yes, we have DeAndre Hopkins, but we need to stay calm. We need to stay on plan. And I think if Arizona runs the ball, I could see you guys taking this pick 'em. But right now, both teams are too inconsistent for me to really lay the chips. Another game I want to talk about is the Giants at Dallas. I was tempted to move it down to Dallas -1.5. But right now, when Dallas feels pressure, that's when they completely choke. And the Giants can stop the run. The Giants can't do a lot outs on defense. That defense offers you nothing in the secondary. I think the linebacking core is fugazi. But that defensive line is big. They can't rush the passer, but they can get in those run fits and stop the run. That could give Dallas some pressure. That could make Dak sweat just a little bit more, and that could create confusion for the Dallas Cowboys. So I wouldn't behest you if you put that on your ticket, but I'm staying away from that for obvious reasons. Another game people want me to talk about is Indianapolis and Cleveland. If I had to do that, I'd probably change the Indianapolis -1, and I'd probably change that to Indianapolis +6. I think that's good money, actually. Actually, I would put that on the more I think about that. But the reason why I'm a little bit cautious about this is because something tells me eventually we're going to see that Phillip Rivers that's turning over the ball. And Cleveland's got a good front seven, and Cleveland can rush the passer, but I think Cleveland can also stop the run. So if Cleveland stops this Colts run game and Phillip has to throw it over like 30 times, this could actually get ugly. I understand if you want to bet Indianapolis +6. I wouldn't behest you. I wouldn't hate on you by any means, but I am a little bit cautious, and I have to give the Browns a little bit of credit for that performance last week against the Cowboys. When you go on the road and score 40-plus points, that's a statement. Say what you will about the Cowboys. Say what you will about this weird COVID season, but that's the reality. The Browns came into someone's house and absolutely beat them down. One more game I'll talk about two more games I want you to consider. The Minnesota Vikings at the Seattle Seahawks. I would probably move this to Seattle as a pick-em, and I like Seattle as a pick-em. Seattle's at -7 right now. Minnesota has their problems, but the biggest problem is their defense, and they can't stop anyone. So if you can't stop anyone, you're probably facing the best offense in the league this week. And we'll see if Mike Zimmer has something up his sleeve, see if there's a plan, see if there's a big turnover. I mean, the Vikings defense still has some dogs in Guakwe, Hunter, Harrison Smith, but Hunter's been banged up. I don't think he's even close to 100%. So that's one reason why taking the Seahawks is rather safe. I actually add the Seahawks to my ticket. I don't like betting against my own team, the Minnesota Vikings, but add the Seahawks to the ticket. The last game, since I know you guys like some action on Monday Night Football, Chargers, New Orleans. New Orleans is -7.5 at the moment. If I had to do it, I'd move it to New Orleans plus 0.5. We hit with New Orleans the last 2 weeks, so I really have no problem if you take them. But the Chargers are an unknown entity to me, and this Chargers offense has been more explosive than I thought. And I have respect for this New Orleans defense, but they do make me a little bit dangerous. So if I had to choose this one, I'd move the Chargers to plus 14.5. So let me go through the teaser I'm going with. Washington plus 14, Miami plus 16, Tennessee plus 8, Philly plus 14, and give me the Seahawks as a pick-em. Subscribe, hit the like button, share the video. You're the reason why we're growing.